Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, the channel where we are making a computer role-playing game using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. I have put some new code in my game where if you choose to leave the dungeon, previously you just got a blank screen because I hadn't done anything, but now you will find that you're told that there are several beggars sitting around the entrance and you have to decide how many shells to give them, if anything, and you can either enter it by hand or you can click up and down with these little arrow buttons, and then when you're ready you press return, and if you don't give them enough, various unpleasant things might happen, such as this particular thing. What I want to show you today is the code that I used to make that happen, and it's pretty straightforward. Very similar, as you might expect, very similar to the text input box that I covered in a previous video. So I'll load that and I'll just zoom in to make it a bit easier to see. This is the relevant bit, and we have the usual greater than and less than signs bracketing a command. We have number box, then we have the name of the variable which will store whatever the player enters, and please note that it has to be in quotation marks. Then we have the default value, the sort of starting value, and then we have the page to go to once the player indicates that they're ready by pressing return. And again, that has to be in quotation marks. So once again, double greater than and lesser than signs. The difference between when there are greater than or lesser than signs, when there are two of them like that, or when there is one of them like that, is basically that it is double when it's a command that is specific to, sorry, I don't know how that happened. There we go. When we have a command that is specific to Twine, it's double greater than and lesser than signs, and when it's a HTML command, it's single greater than or lesser than signs. That's why table, for example, only has one, as in one on each side. Obviously, if you don't know HTML, that won't, be much help to you. But that is why some of them have pairs like this, and some of them have only one. But anyway, once again, this one has double greater than and lesser than signs bracketing it, the word number box, the variable in quotation marks, the default value, and the page to go to, again in quotation marks. Now, there's only one more thing that I want to show you. Whoops. And that is in the style sheet section, this one here, and I'll just zoom in. What I did here is I entered input, and then in square brackets type equals number, and then in curly brackets width colon 2.5 em semicolon. And what that does is sets the width for the window where you type the numbers. If you don't do this, you don't have to do this. I could just delete that whole thing and it would still run, but the window was very wide and it looked a bit odd when you were only entering at most two figures. So that's why I did this. And obviously, if you want it to be wider or thinner, you just alter this number until you get something that looks like what you want. Now, I could have deleted this type equals number and just had input, and that would have covered every case where a player inputted, whether it was numbers or text. But the width, I thought, was fine for text input, because text input you normally want a wider window because you're entering more characters. So I decided to put this in, and that makes it cover numerical inputs in particular. But again, that's just a style thing. It'll run without any errors without it, but I thought it looked a bit sort of odd without it. So I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.